안녕하세요. 쇼킹TV 톰슨입니다. 시작에 앞서 몇 가지를 먼저 설명드리겠습니다. 이 사건은 아직 본재판도 열리지 않은 현재 진행 중인 사건입니다. 청문회까지만 열린 상태이며 오늘은 이 사건의 피고인 데릭 로사의 청문회 재판의 영상까지 원본 그대로 함께 볼 것입니다. 고작 만 13살. 한국 나이로 따졌을 때 중학교 2학년인 이 아이는 원래라면 청소년 구치소에 수감되어야 하지만 잔혹한 사건 내용으로 성인 구치소에 옮겨져 수감된 상태입니다. 그래서 이러한 상황들을 염두에 두신 상태에서 오늘 사건을 함께 하셨으면 합니다. 플로리다에서 두 아이의 어머니가 칼에 찔려 죽었고 경찰은 그녀의 친아들이 범인이라고 합니다. 이건 상당히 참혹한 범죄로 일주일 전에 딸을 출산한 여성이 아기가 가까이에서 잠을 자고 있는 동안 13살의 아들에게 찔려 죽었습니다. 39세의 이리나 가르시아는 2023년 10월 12일 밤에 수차례 칼에 찔려 죽었습니다. 고작 일주일 된 아기는 무사했고 엄마가 공격당하고 있던 중에 잠을 자고 있었죠. 이리나의 친아들인 13세의 데릭 로사는 밤 11시 30분경에 911에 전화하여 어머니가 죽었다고 말했습니다.
I need to know if your mom is breathing.
She's dead, miss.
Okay, and what did you do then?
Blood all over the floor.
I need to know, do you think we can help your mom?
Miss, she's dead.
로사는 교환원에게 계부의 총을 사용해 자살을 고려했지만 할 수 없었다고 합니다. 참고로 계부는 트럭 운전사로 살인이 일어난 시점에 다른 주에 있었죠. 그리고 신고자인 로사는 더욱 심각한 말을 꺼내기 시작하죠.
Miss,
Yes.
I took pictures and I told my friends about it. Was that bad?
You told who about it?
My friends.
Who did you send those pictures to?
My friend. I don't know his real name because he is an online friend who I play with a lot.
전체 통화는 15분 조금 넘게 이어졌습니다. 그리고 경찰이 도착했을 때 13살이자 8학년인 데릭 로사는 교환원에게 이런 말도 합니다. 경찰이 자신을 죽일 것 같아서 무섭다고 말이죠. 그리고 결국 로사는 경찰에게 별다른 저항 없이 무사히 체포되었습니다. 하지만 이 통화는 사실 이 사건에 있어서 살인자백으로 볼 수 있을 만큼 큰 도움이 되진 않습니다. 주변에 있는 누군가가 협박을 해서 그런 말을 했을 수도 있고 여러 가지 변수들이 존재할 수 있기 때문이었죠. 어쨌든 경찰은 곧 수색영장을 발부받아 집 안으로 들어갔고 그곳은 아주 참혹한 살해 현장으로 바뀌어 있었습니다. 어머니이자 피해자인 이리나 가르시아의 방 침대 위에는 참혹한 주검 상태인 그녀가 피투성이가 된 채 누워 있었죠. 그리고 그 옆에 있는 탁자 위에는 큰 식칼이 놓여져 있었습니다. 피투성이가 된 상태로 봤을 때 데릭 로사가 어머니를 찌를 때 썼던 흉기로 볼 수 있었죠. 피와 머리카락이 엉겨붙어 있었고 칼 끝은 뼈에 부딪혀 부러져 있었습니다. 그리고 가장 충격적인 것은 수없이 칼에 찔린 채 사망한 이리나 가르시아의 옆에 있는 아기 침대에 가만히 누워서 자고 있던 여자 아기였습니다. 그 아기는 태어난 지 이제 일주일이 된 이리나 가르시아의 딸이자 데릭 로사의 늦둥이 여동생이었죠. 엄마의 몸에서 뿜어져 나온 피를 온몸에 뒤집어 쓴 채 곤히 자고 있던 그 아기의 모습은 살인사건을 수없이 접해봤던 조셉 엘로세기 수석 형사에게도 충격적일 수밖에 없었습니다. 그 아기는 곧바로 병원으로 옮겨졌으며 한편 현장을 조사하고 있던 한 경찰의 눈에 들어온 물건이 있었습니다. 그건 피해자의 방을 비추고 있던 베이비 모니터였죠. 보통 베이비 모니터는 새벽에 아기가 깼을 때 살펴보기 위한 물건으로 이 사건도 새벽에 일어났기 때문에 녹화되었을 수도 있다고 판단했죠. 그래서 일단 그 안에 꽂혀있던 메모리 카드를 빼서 증거물로 수집하였습니다. 아직 감식 중이고 공개되지 않은 증거물로서 영상은 보지 못했지만 당시 데릭 로사가 찍힌 캡처 이미지는 공개되었습니다. 이 사진들은 데릭 로사의 계부인 프랭크 라모스가 휴대폰으로 캡처한 이미지로 이후에 이루어진 사건 조사 때 경찰이 받은 것입니다. 엄마가 자고 있던 새벽에 들어가서 그 식칼로 공격하는 모습이 보입니다. 이렇게 몇 가지의 단서를 파악한 뒤 조셉 엘로세기 형사는 경찰국에서 데릭 로사를 만나 인터뷰를 시작합니다. 법원에서는 사건 당시 잔인한 상황을 묘사하는 음성은 아직 중학교 2학년, 13살밖에 되지 않은 미성년자인 피고의 상황을 반영하여 음소거 처리하였음을 알려드립니다.
How's it going, Derek? I'm Detective Gonzalez. This is Detective Alosegi. I'm just gonna go over a couple things with you first.
화면 밖에 있는 사람은 곤잘레스 형사, 화면 왼쪽에 보이는 형사는 수석 형사인 조셉 엘로세기 형사입니다.
Just for the record, today's date is Friday, October 13th, 2023, and the time is currently 2:40 a.m. And this is in regards to case, Joe, 2023?
Yeah, the case number is going to be 2023-02953, an incident that happened at 211 West 79 Place, apartment number 201.
Okay. For the record, my badge number is 1527.
And mine is 958.
You go to school, right? What grade are you in?
8th grade.
8th grade? Good student? A's and stuff like that?
A's and B's.
What reading class are you in right now? You know? What do you take?
I just do language arts.
Language arts? Okay. So you can read with no problem?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna read you something first, and then you can read it afterwards. Okay?
Okay.
Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court. If you have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions, and to have a lawyer present with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning if you desire. If you decide to answer these questions now without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering at any time or until you talk to a lawyer. Waiver of rights. I have read the statement of my rights and I understand what my rights are. I am willing to make a statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I am doing. No promise or threats have been made to me. No pressure or coercion of any kind has been used against me. Okay? If there's...
Okay, this is the form right here, okay?
Okay.
Now, I want you to follow, actually to read here. Okay, read this little dot right here.
Out loud.
Yes.
Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights.
Okay, you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and initial this little dot for me. It means that you understand that. Yeah, just your initials.
I don't have initials. I just write my name.
Okay. Whatever.
What's your name?
Right here. Okay, read the second line.
You have the right to remain silent.
Okay, you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, write your name again if you understand that. Okay, read this line right here.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in court.
Okay, you understand that? Go ahead, the same procedure, just go ahead and put your initials or your signature. Go on to the next line.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions, and to have the lawyer present with you during the questioning.
Okay, you understand that? Go ahead and okay. Now right here.
If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning, if you so desire.
Okay. You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Signature. And this right here.
If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering at any time or until you talk to a lawyer.
Okay, go ahead and initial right there. Okay, now read this whole paragraph.
I have read this statement of my rights and I understand what my rights are. I am willing to make the statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I'm doing. No promises or threats have been made to me. No pressure or coercion.
Coercion, that's
Coercion.
that we're forcing you to do something.
Okay.
You understand? Whatever you're doing on your own voluntarily basis, making an educated decision for yourself, okay?
Okay.
Keep on.
Coercion of any kind has been used against me.
Okay. Now, we are investigating an incident that happened, where you called police, okay? Before we ask you any questions, we want to make sure that you know this. And if you want a chance to explain yourself, the only way that we would be able to take your statement is if you agree to talk to us without the presence of an attorney. If you do, go ahead and sign right here.
What's that attorney?
An attorney is someone that can represent you in legal matters. Okay?
You know what a lawyer is?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. By you signing that, you're wanting to give us a statement without the presence of a lawyer. You understand that?
Yes.
Is that your wish?
Yes, my wish.
Okay.
Can you send your last name too?
Yeah.
If at any time while we're talking to you, you have any questions or something, or don't understand something, please let us know, okay?
Okay.
Okay, you want to write your name right up here?
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna write the case number here.
Ten 2023.
Okay, 02
8.
8953 HPD. The date?
10/13/2023, and the time is 2:46. Derek, can you state your full name for the record?
From Edmund 2.
Huh?
From Edmund 2.
Yeah, everything, your full name.
Derek Stephen Rosa.
What's your date of birth?
August 26, 2010.
What's your address?
I don't know my address.
Okay. What's your telephone number? You don't know it either?
No.
Okay. What type of phone do you have?
An iPhone.
An iPhone? What color is it?
It's blue.
It's blue?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you lived in that apartment there?
Since I was 11, so 2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
Okay. Who lives there with you?
My mom, now my sister, because my mom had a daughter a week ago, and
Okay.
my stepdad.
What's your sister's name? Okay. And your stepfather, do you know his name?
Yes,
What's his name?
Frank Ramos.
Frank Ramos. Okay. Derek, let's start with this morning. You slept at your house last night, right?
Yeah.
Do you go back and forth between staying with your mom and your dad or no?
데릭 로사의 부모님은 이혼을 한 상태입니다.
Or you usually just live with your mom?
It's really hard to explain. One weekend, I'm with my mom, and the other weekend, I'm with my dad. No, I'm not with my dad a whole week, only 2 days.
Only weekends.
But not every weekend.
Where does your dad live?
Don't know.
You don't know? But is it in Miami, down here somewhere?
It's in Broward.
In Broward?
Yeah.
Okay. But last night you slept at your mom's house.
Yes.
Okay. You got up this morning and
Went to my school bus.
you went to your school bus.
Yes.
What school do you go to?
I'm at Middle High.
I'm at our Middle High.
Yeah.
Okay, that's over there on 20th Street, right?
Yes.
And what grade are you in?
8th grade.
8th grade. Honor classes?
No.
No. So tell me about your day in school. Regular day at school?
Was regular. I didn't do too much work.
You didn't do too much work?
No.
Regular release day time and stuff
Yeah.
like that. How do you get there in bus?
Yeah.
Okay. You got back
On bus.
on bus?
Yes.
Okay. And then you were home the whole day? Or did you leave?
I stayed home after school.
You stayed home after school?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into what happened tonight. Were you do you communicate with people over the phone? Were you talking? Tell me what happened tonight.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Well, at around like 10, I went to bed.
Okay.
My mom did too.
Is that your regular time?
Like
9?
yeah.
Okay. You guys explain to me about the apartment. You have your own room?
Yes.
And your mom?
Yes, she has her own room.
She has her own room. And your sister?
She stays in the same room as my mom.
Stays in the same room with your mom? And tonight, who was all there?
Me, my mom, and my sister.
Okay. So you went to sleep around 10?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what?
I woke up.
You killed her? Alright. What type of knife was it? Do you know?
It was just a big size kitchen knife.
That big?
Yeah.
What color was the handle?
Purple.
Purple?
Yes.
Okay. Your mom was sleeping?
Yeah, she was sleeping.
Okay. Explain to me. Well, we'll get into that a little later. What did you do after you killed her?
My stepdad he owns 2 guns. He has a Glock 19
Okay.
and then, I don't know what it's called, another one.
Okay. What color are they?
The Glock 19 is black and then the other one has a silver slide and then like a dark bluish handle.
Okay. So, what did you do with the guns?
He always has his Glock 19 with him at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And since he's a truck driver, he was at home, he was far away.
Okay.
So I went into the closet.
Mm-hmm.
I found his book bag because he goes shooting at gun ranges.
Okay.
I grabbed the gun. I put the magazine in the gun. I
Okay.
pulled back the slide, but I didn't want to shoot myself.
Okay.
I intended to shoot myself before, but I couldn't.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I decided to call my friends to tell them what happened, and then I said goodbye to my friends.
You called them before you decided to try to shoot yourself or afterwards?
After,
Okay. How many friends did you call?
only one.
What's his name?
I don't know his real name. He's an online friend.
He's an online friend.
Yeah.
When you say online friend, what do you mean, from video games?
Yes, from video games. I know him real well.
Okay. How long have you known him?
Since like I was 10, 3 years.
3 years?
3
Have you ever met him?
No, I've seen the face.
You seen his face?
Yeah.
So how did you communicate with him?
My cell phone.
Through your cell phone, so you have his number.
Yes.
And you don't have him stored under a certain name, or you have him stored under a gamer tag?
I have him. I made up a name for him.
You made up a name for him?
Yeah.
What name did you make up for him?
Sweden.
Sweden?
Sweden. SWEEDEN.
원래 스웨덴의 스펠링은 SWEDEN이지만 SWEEDEN이라는 이름으로 붙인 걸 말하고 있습니다.
Okay. How often do you talk to Sweden?
Every weekend.
Every weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. So you called Sweden. And what did you tell Sweden?
Told them what I did.
What exactly did you tell Sweden when you say what I did? Did you tell them how? Or no? How you killed her or no? Okay. Did you send them any pictures?
Yes.
How many pictures did you send them?
I sent them 2 of my mama and 1 of me.
Okay.
이때 데릭 로사가 보내준 사진 중 한 장은 이것입니다. 엄마를 죽인 뒤 자랑스러운 모습으로 찍은 자신의 사진이죠. 참고로 엄마를 죽인 사진은 아직 공개되지 않았습니다.
Did you... What did he tell you?
He said he couldn't believe it.
Okay. Does Sweden live down here in Florida?
He lived real far.
Real far?
Yeah. In America though.
In America?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you hung up the phone?
I said goodbye.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I was going to show myself, but I decided I didn't want to do that. And I called 911.
Okay. And what did you tell 911? Okay. And they kept you on the phone
Yes. Until the cops came.
until the cops came. Do you remember what else you told the 911 operator?
My address, my name, what I was wearing,
Okay.
and my age, and my date of birth.
Were you wearing the same clothes you're wearing now?
Yeah.
There's some red stains there. Is that blood?
I think it is.
Okay.
I have a little bit of blood on my hands.
And your hands too?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever make your way to your sister?
Killing her?
No.
Touching her?
Touching her?
No.
No?
I left her alone. She was sleeping and she didn't wake up, so I didn't touch her.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to your mom. Okay. You said she was sleeping.
Yes.
Okay. Where exactly did you cut her? Okay. And you purposely went for the artery when you cut her? Okay. Was there a lot of blood after? Okay. Did you tell her anything before you stabbed her? Did you say anything? But she didn't wake up when you... She was asleep when you stabbed her.
What curse words did you say?
Okay. And then she woke up.
Yes.
Did you say anything else to her? Or did she say anything to you or no?
No, she just screaming.
She just screamed.
Yes.
Okay. Why did you stab your mom?
Can I go to the bathroom before I answer that?
Yes, of course.
모든 것은 대답하였지만 살해 의도에 대해서는 왠지 망설이는 듯 보이는군요. 그리고 화장실을 다녀온 모습부터 보겠습니다.
One thing, you said it was your online friend, right? What type of console do you have? Do you play them, or is it on the computer?
I play on a couple consoles. There's an Xbox in my living room. I have a Switch in my room. I have a VR headset in my room too.
Okay. And what type of games do you play?
Mostly fighting or shooting games.
Like what? Some.
Like Fortnite, Call of Duty.
데릭 로사가 했던 게임인 포트나이트와 콜 오브 듀티 모두 총으로 상대방을 죽이는 게임입니다. 과거에도 대량 살인을 저지른 살인범들이 콜 오브 듀티와 같은 게임을 했다고 진술한 적 있죠. 그래서 이번에도 이 부분 때문에 또 게임 중독에 관해 논란을 부추기는 사람들이 생기지 않을까 생각됩니다.
Fortnite, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your gamer tag?
Pictures like Stock Tree.
What is it called?
Stock Tree.
Stock tree.
1990.
Why'd you pick that name? You just
Can you spell that for me?
Yes.
Go.
STOCK. No space. Capital T.
No space?
No space. Capital T.
Okay.
REE.
Mm-hmm.
199.
Another 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
0.
Okay, so that's it. Stock tree 1990, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna also go take you back to the. Did you call anybody else other than
No.
your friend?
I call my friend.
Okay. Did you post anything on social media?
No, I don't think so. No, I did not.
Okay. Do you have social media?
I have Discord.
Discord?
Yeah.
That's like a video game thing, right? What's Discord?
It's like WhatsApp.
디스코드는 SNS라기보다는 일종의 많은 기능들이 추가된 채팅 프로그램 같은 겁니다. 한마디로 뭐라고 설명해야 될지는 잘 모르겠네요. 궁금하시면 구글에서 찾아보시기 바랍니다.
WhatsApp?
It's like that.
Okay.
That's Discord, D-I-S-C-O-R-D?
Yes.
Okay, and what's your username on that?
It's him. Him. H-I-M.
Capital H-I-M?
Yeah.
Okay.
Underscore.
Underscore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Forever.
Forever? Okay, do you have Instagram?
No.
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 Do you have WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have Facebook, right?
I have Facebook.
Okay, Facebook.
I don't use it though. I just need it for my headset.
Okay, what's your screen name on Facebook?
I think it's just my name.
Your name?
Derek Rosa.
All straight?
Yeah. And with a space in between.
No space?
A space.
Derek, D-R-I-K?
No, D-E-R-E-K.
I'm sorry. Derek, space Rosa?
Yes.
Okay, but nothing in between, just a space.
Yeah, the only space.
Okay.
How old are you, Derek?
13.
And what grade is that? I forget.
8th grade.
8th grade?
Yes.
Okay. When the police got there, did you say anything to the police? That you
I
remember?
asked about my sister.
You asked about your sister?
They said who was in there. I said my sister.
Okay. Did you say anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. So you were about to tell me the why. Why did you kill your mother? Do you know?
Do I have to say it now?
Yeah, get it off your chest. Absolutely.
I can wait for a lawyer.
Okay, at this point, you want a lawyer?
Maybe not.
We can't. No, listen. Just so you understand, okay? You have mentioned or asked us, should you wait for a lawyer? We're not here to advise you on whether to talk to a lawyer or not. That decision is yours, okay? But if you are requesting a lawyer at this point, we can't interview you any further. You understand? We have to stop the interview.
Okay.
Do you want us to stop the interview?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then this interview will end right now.
It is 3:05 a.m.
Okay. Thank you.
데릭 로사의 모습을 보셔서 아시겠지만 친엄마를 살인한 13살짜리 학생이라고 보기 힘들 정도로 아주 침착해 보입니다. 이 신문 뒤 데릭 로사는 청소년 구치소에 수감됩니다. 하지만 검찰 측에서 데릭 로사를 놓고 깊은 고심에 빠질 수밖에 없었습니다. 헌법으로 따져봤을 때 두 가지가 충돌했기 때문이었죠. 미성년자는 법적으로 성인 구치소에 수감할 수 없다와 살인과 같은 중범죄로 기소된 사람은 성인 구치소에 수감해야 한다였죠. 결국 검찰에선 엄마를 수십 회나 찔러서 죽였고 바로 옆에 태어난 지 일주일밖에 되지 않은 아기가 있었기 때문에 1급 살인 혐의와 미성년자 학대 혐의로 기소하였습니다. 따라서 데릭 로사는 청소년 구치소가 아닌 성인 구치소에 이송 수감되었죠. 하지만 아직 법적으로 미성년자라는 특수한 상황이었기 때문에 독립된 1인실에 수감되었습니다. 그렇지만 이 사실을 듣게 된 피고 측에서는 성인 구치소에서 다른 수감자들의 공격 위험성 때문에 위헌이라고 주장했습니다. 따라서 재판으로 갈 수밖에 없는 문제가 되었죠. 먼저 이 주제를 놓고 사전 청문회에서 재판이 열렸습니다. 성인 구치소에 수감된 대릭 로사를 놓고 이게 맞는지 틀린 건지 옮겨야 하는 건지 아닌지를 놓고서 말이죠. 그래서 이곳에 증인으로 참석한 대릭 로사의 구치소 담당자는 별다른 문제 없이 잘 지내고 있고 어떤 위험성 같은 건 없다고 말했습니다. 하지만 그 증언 시간이 몇 시간이나 되는 관계로 따로 들어보진 않겠습니다. 그래서 다음 증인으로 참석한 수석 형사인 조셉 엘로세기의 재판 모습부터 보도록 하죠. 참고로 재판 중간중간 서류를 찾고 주고받고 승인을 받는 등의 지연되는 장면은 모두 편집했습니다.
Shall we hear from your witness?
Yes, thank you, Judge.
Okay.
The state calls Detective Joseph Ilasigi. Good afternoon, Detective. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Were you assigned the lead detective of the murder of Irina Garcia on October 12th or in the early morning hours of October 13th of this year?
Yes, I was.
In that capacity, in investigating this case, did you ever learn the phone number for the defendant's father?
Yes.
Did you also learn the phone number for the defendant's grandmother?
Yes.
Detective, could you tell me, do you know what the defendant's father's phone number is?
Yes, I do.
Are those records in evidence now?
Judge, they're not.
Are those
I'm not
the
showing it
records?
to him now. I was just showing it for your honor that there's a business record certificate, which I would move into evidence now
Those
as
are
an
the phone
exception.
records between the 5th and the 12th?
But
The
7th and the 12th.
from the 7th to the 12th.
Okay. Do you have an objection to those?
No, Your Honor.
Admitted.
Do you have the phone number for the defendant's father?
Yes, I'm going to reflect to my notes here.
Detective, that evening, was the defendant Derek Rosa taken into custody by the Hialeah Police Department?
Yes, he was.
And was he transported from the scene somewhere?
Yes,
Where was he taken?
to the Hialeah Police Department Homicide Office.
And were you there at the Hialeah Police Department Homicide Office in the early morning hours of, may I have that one exhibit? Yes. Of the 13th?
Yes, I was.
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of what the Hialeah Police Department Homicide Office looked like that night on 10/13/23?
Yes,
And do you recognize the people in this?
yes.
I'm showing you what's in evidence now, State's Exhibit 7. Who is the person on the far left of this image?
That is Homicide Detective Wilbur Gonzalez.
And about how tall is Wilbur Gonzalez?
I would say about 5'10".
Okay, is it fair to say
Okay.
he's a grown man?
Yes, he is.
And who's the person in the middle of the image?
That is the defendant?
Okay, that's Mr. Rosa?
Yes.
Okay. And who's the only other person on the far right of the image?
That is the patrol officer who transported him to the station.
And is he also a grown man?
Yes.
Are they all relatively the same size in this picture?
Yes.
이 질문을 하는 요지는 아까도 말씀드린 것처럼 대릭 로사가 성인 구치소에 구금되는 게 옳은 일인가 하는 쟁점을 두고 하는 청문회이기 때문입니다. 검찰 측은 옳다, 피고 측은 그렇지 않다고 주장하고 있기에 검찰은 대릭 로사의 키가 성인인 경찰들의 키와 똑같다는 이유를 근거로 대고 있는 것이죠. 체격은 성인과 다름없다는 뜻입니다. 즉 성인 구치소에 구금시켜도 된다는 것이죠.
Once he was transported to the Hialeah Police Department, was he taken into an interview room?
Yes, he was.
Were you in that room?
Yes, I was.
Was a statement given by him?
Yes.
May I show you what's marked as States 1A? Is that your signature here?
Yes.
Okay. And what date is here?
12/1/23.
On that date, were you able to confirm that what's on the flash drive is the complete interview of the defendant?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 1A marked for ID will become State's Exhibit number 8.
아까 보신 신문 영상을 법정에서 공식 증거물로 채택하여 공개하는 상황입니다. 그런데 법정에 참관한 한 노인 여성이 참고 있던 울음을 터뜨리기 시작합니다. 그 여성은 숨진 피해자의 어머니이자 그녀를 살해한 대릭 로사의 외할머니이죠.
I shoot myself.
Okay.
I intended to shoot myself before, but I couldn't.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I just said it for my friends to tell them what happened, and I said goodbye to my friends.
You called them before you decided to try to shoot yourself or afterwards?
After.
Okay. How many friends did you call?
Only one.
What's his name?
I don't know what your name is, online friends.
He's an online friend?
Yeah.
When you say online friend, you mean from video games?
Yes, from video games. I know him real well.
Okay, detective. So I want to start with something that was discussed in this interview. So the defendant mentioned his cell phone. Do you know if that was located on scene and taken into custody?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And were you detectives able to look through the cell phone after you... Did you get a search warrant for that phone?
Yes, we did.
After you got a search warrant for the phone, were you able to look at the phone and look in the Google searches?
Yes.
Okay. And were you able to see some of the things that the defendant had just been searching on his Google?
Yes, on October 12 at 6 p.m., he did make searches on Google.
Okay. Now, where's that phone right now?
It is, I believe, with the Secret Service still. If not, it's at our impound, property impound.
Okay. So you still don't have the full results of the phone back, is that fair?
No, we're getting a full forensic download report from the Secret Service.
Understood. But before you gave it to the Secret Service, were you able to look in the search window to see the most recent searches?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what those last searches were?
Yes, I'm going to again refer here to my notes.
Did you write them down verbatim?
Yes.
Okay. What's the first one?
The
how
first-
many were there?
There were approximately 6.
Okay. Go ahead.
The first one, he typed in the word, the carotid artery image diagram.
Okay.
And after that, what is the best place to stab someone?
Okay, what's next?
Is a small knife good for killing?
What's next?
Is it easier to kill someone with a small knife?
What's next?
Can a knife cut through bone?
And the last one?
It was an image of a LMG machine gun.
Okay. The defendant also in the statement indicated to you that he sent 2 photographs of his mother to his friend. Were you able to confirm that in fact he did send photographs of his mother once she was deceased on scene to a friend?
Yes, they were located on his cell phone.
Okay. Was there? Were you also able to locate the photograph that he sent of himself to his friend?
Yes.
Later on in those early morning hours, was a search warrant received back to give you the authority to fully document the crime scene?
Yes.
Before that, I'm going to skip back a little bit. When the patrol officers arrived at the beginning of the night and took Derek into custody, was a sweep of the apartment done first?
Yes.
Okay. Was there anybody else other than Derek in the apartment?
No.
Okay. So are you sure there was nobody else in the apartment?
We are sure because we also have that backed up with a ring camera that we...
링 카메라는 홈 시큐리티 서비스를 제공하는 사업자 명인 링을 일컫는 말입니다. 쉽게 말하자면 CCTV로 확인했다는 말이 되겠죠.
So is there a ring camera on the exterior door of the apartment 201?
Yes.
Okay. What about a baby? Wasn't there a baby in
There was
room?
a baby in a crib laying in the crib next to the decedent.
Okay. And did Hialeah Police take the baby out?
Yes.
Okay. And what did they do with the baby at that point?
They took it out for safety reasons and handed it over, I believe, to rescue or something.
Okay. And other than that, was Irina Garcia there?
Yes.
Okay. And did they check that she was in fact deceased?
Yes.
Okay, and at that point, did everybody leave, and was that secured and locked down waiting for a search warrant?
Yes. Once the officers made some observations, we used that to gather facts for the search warrant.
Okay. So you did receive a search warrant. At some point that morning on the 13th, did you enter that apartment?
Yes.
And did you look around the apartment, at the crime scene, in Barrett's room, etc.?
Yes.
Did you stay there while the scene was documented and photographed?
Yes, I stayed there while photographs were taken.
While you were there, did someone from the medical examiner's office become an investigator as well as a doctor?
Yes.
Okay. And is it the medical examiner's practice in your experience that they take their own photographs as well?
Yes.
Okay. Have you reviewed all of those in your capacity as the lead detective on this case?
Yes.
Okay, detective. So we were just discussing that you entered the crime scene, you were able to see the crime scene. Did you stay there until Ms. Garcia's body was taken by the evidence office?
I stayed there pretty much till the end, you know?
Okay, so at the end of that, once the crime scene was fully documented, was her body removed from the scene?
Yes.
Okay, where was it taken?
It was taken to the Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's office.
Do you remember seeing this that night?
Yes.
Okay. What room was this in the apartment?
I believe it was inside the victim's room. If I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing it on top of the counter.
Are you sure it wasn't in the defendant's room?
Objection. It could have been.
Suggestive?
No.
변호사가 있습니다. objection이라고 하자 판사가 suggestive, 암시적이라고요? 라고 대답했습니다. 그러자 검사는 살짝 웃었죠. 이 부분은 사건과는 상관없지만 재판 중에 흔히 볼 수 있는 장면으로 간단히 설명드리고자 합니다. 보통은 이런 상황에서 변호사가 objection, suggestive, 있습니다, 암시적입니다 라고 이에 대한 이유를 함께 붙여서 말합니다. 하지만 이번에 변호사는 단지 objection, 있습니다 라고만 했고 그러자 suggestive, 암시적이라고요? 라면서 이유를 되물어봤죠. 이건 판사 본인이 보기에도 완전 답변을 유도하기 위해 암시하고 있다는 것을 의미합니다. 그래서 검사도 멋쩍다는 이유로 웃은 거고요. 다만 이 상황이 크게 문제되지 않은 건 이 청문회가 진행되기 전에 제출된 보고서에 이미 모두 기록되어 있기 때문이었습니다. 탁자 위에 있었는지 책상 위에 있었는지는 이 청문회 주제와 크게 상관이 없다 보니 가볍게 넘어가게 되죠.
I said I don't remember. I can tell you it was on top of a counter.
Do you remember whose keys these were?
Yes, those are the defendant's keys.
Okay. And do you remember where you saw those keys?
Those keys were...
Asked and answered.
Those keys, I believe, were in his room when we did the search.
And not to state the obvious, but is this a purple knife of about the same size that he had just shown you in the interview room?
Yes, it's a knife with blood on it, yes.
And at the tip of the knife, do you see anything unusual about that?
Yes, the tip was missing.
Okay, so now let's get back to the medical examiner's office. Did you yourself go to the medical examiner's office relating to this case?
Yes.
Is it normal practice in a homicide for the medical examiner or a doctor at the medical examiner's office to perform an autopsy on a murder victim? Okay. Were you actually present in the room during the entire autopsy?
Right by the doctor.
And in this case, do you remember it was a fellow Dr. Cornell and another doctor, right?
Yes, Cornell, yes.
And not to get into too much detail, but do you remember about how tall the victim was?
I would say the victim is fairly short,
Okay.
you know?
Would you consider her a petite woman?
Yes, very short.
Did you discuss the wounds on Ms. Garcia with the doctor?
I discussed and I saw them.
Okay. Let's start with, did the doctor tell you what the cause of death was?
Yes, it was a multiple blunt, sharp wound.
Was it sharp force wounds or blunt force wounds?
It was really sharp force wounds. I'd have to check the autopsy thing, but I believe it was sharp force wounds.
So let's talk about the evidence of injury. Let's start with, I'm going to show you actually what's, go back 1 second. So when you were in the apartment, did you see a baby monitor in the victim's room?
Yes.
Okay. Did your police department get a search warrant for the SD card or whatever, the card that's inside the baby monitor?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen images captured on the baby monitor?
I saw an image that was sent to me by the stepfather, Frank Ramos, initially, and then on the baby monitor, there was one image.
Okay, and was that essentially some of the basis for the probable cause for why you wanted to search the baby monitor?
Yes.
Okay. So, Detective, I'm going to talk about the autopsy and injuries now, and I'm going to try and sum it up, okay, instead of going through each and every one together, okay? Is it fair to say that there were 46 sharp force wounds in total on Ms. Garcia's body? Were there wounds to her face?
Yes.
Okay. Were there multiple wounds to her face, including eyes, mouth, ears?
Yes.
Okay. Let's move down to the neck area. Did she have multiple wounds in her neck area?
Yes.
Gonna move further down. Did she have other injuries and wounds to the front of her chest, north of her belly button, between her belly button and her neck?
Yes.
Did the doctors discuss with you that the stab wounds to the front of the chest are likely the wounds that resulted in her death?
Yes.
And is that because they discussed that the wounds that were from the front, that those wounds cut off branches of the windpipe leading to her lungs, and that those wounds resulted in that much bleeding and her inability to breathe?
Yes.
Okay. Were there any other wounds to the front part of her body? Other areas of the front part of her body that had knife wounds?
Were you talking about the entire front or
The front. So we talked face,
Face.
neck, chest, north of the belly button.
Okay. Okay.
Any other wounds that you recall on the front of her body?
She had defensive wounds on her hands.
Okay, so then let's talk about the hands. So when you witnessed the autopsy and you, in conversation, doctor, you noticed wounds on her hands, both hands?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Other than those, anything else in the front?
Not in the front. We're going to then categorize the back area and the legs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing else in the front.
Okay, so for those general areas, I think that's sufficient for that.
Yeah.
So did you also, were you able to see the back of her body?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to start from the bottom this time. Were there any wounds on her legs from the knees down?
Knees down, I don't remember any.
Okay. Do you remember any wounds on her knees, on her legs at all?
Yes.
Okay. What do you recall?
I remember two separate wounds that run along the inner thigh on each side of the leg and the general area of the femoral artery.
Okay, so two sharp force wounds on each upper thigh on the inside near the femur.
Yes.
이 부분은 다른 부상 소견보다도 조금 더 주목해야 할 만한 부분이 됩니다. 허벅지는 상체를 제외했을 때 꽤 면적이 넓은 부위죠. 그런데 양쪽 허벅지에 각각 2개의 칼에 찔린 상처가 있었는데 그게 대퇴동맥의 부분이었다는 것이죠. 이것은 명백하게 대퇴동맥을 끊어서 엄마를 살해하겠다라는 확실한 목표를 나타낼 수 있는 부상입니다.
Other than that, were all the other wounds in the back of her body from, let's say, the lower back up to the head?
Lower, yes, she had on the other on her back. She had numerous stab wounds. Yes.
So we'll get to that. So, but is it fair to say that according to what you witnessed, that there was very little blood left in her chest cavity or internal cavities when the autopsy began?
Objection, Your Honor. He's not a medical examiner.
And that really doesn't go to the specific issues that I'm interested in here.
He's not an expert.
Okay, and that was the infliction of the wounds, and as you offered the type of strength necessary to do that.
Okay, yes, sir. So, were there numerous wounds in her back?
Yes.
Did you notice that those wounds went through skin?
Yes.
Did they go through muscle?
Yes.
Did they go through internal organs?
Yes.
Okay. Were there also other sharp force wounds to the back of her neck?
Yes.
And let's get to her head. Were there sharp force wounds in the back of her head?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Did you witness the doctor remove a piece of metal from the back of Arena's skull?
여기서 말하는 금속 조각은 칼의 부러진 끝 부분이죠. 두개골에 박혀 있었거나 부러져서 피부 안에 남아 있었던 것 같아 보이는군요.
Yes.
Okay. And did you witness the divot left in the back of her skull from that?
I saw when she removed it, and I impounded that little tip as evidence.
Okay. And you were just looking at State's Exhibit, thank you, State's Exhibit 10. Since we obviously don't have that piece of evidence with us, did it look like it was the size of the tip of the knife that's broken?
It was consistent.
Okay. No further questions for Detective Lasky at this time.
Cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
Good.
Help me with the pronunciation of your last name.
Elosegi.
Elosegu.
Elosegi.
Elosegu. Okay. Detective, how many years have you been a homicide detective?
21 years.
Okay. And how many interviews of this nature have you conducted?
Of this nature?
Yes.
Homicide interviews?
Yes.
God, hundreds and hundreds.
At least 500?
I would say, at least a couple of hundred.
Okay. How many of 13-year-olds being investigated for first-degree murder?
This right here is my first 13-year-old.
Okay. And what was your understanding as to the purpose of your testimony this afternoon, or today, on today's day?
Objection to relevance.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
What was his understanding as to why he was called to testify today? Why did he understand that he had to testify? I don't understand how that's relevant.
Sustained.
What did you do to prepare to be here this afternoon?
What I reviewed notes that I had. I reviewed body cam, and I have a lot of remembers of what happened.
Is this your only case that you're working?
Objection to relevance.
Where are we going, Mr. Grillo?
Judge, I'd like to know specifically if he's just relying on his memory, if he's talking about he looked at notes, what notes he's looked at, what did he do to prepare for his testimony?
I think he just told you. He reviewed some body-worn camera. What else did you review, officer?
I reviewed the body cam, the notes of my. You see, the reports are being memorialized, and we're still adding on to the reports, so they're not complete. Where I can bring a report to court here.
Do you have access to them by way of computer, then, as your people are compiling them?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Did you review the reports from your other officers?
Yes, everything, yes.
All right. So you're the lead detective.
Yes,
You're the repository of all of the reports and information of all of your officers.
yes.
Okay. This attorney wants to know what you reviewed before you came in today.
I reviewed, I read the supplements of other officers. I reviewed my supplement up to date and body cam and everything.
Do you know if what you reviewed the defense has?
Objection, Judge.
Let me ask this. I'll withdraw that question, Your Honor.
Okay.
What you reviewed, have you turned that over to the state attorney's office?
No, I have not.
Okay. How many times did you meet with the state attorney's office?
Well,
Judge, I'm going to continue to object to relevance.
One moment.
Yes, sir.
What's your next question?
What question did I just ask, or what would we
Now, I'll tell you what, if you would like, I'll set this hearing for 6 months. You can take depositions, get all the reports, and be in a complete position. I'm expediting this process for the benefit of your client. Discovery in a case like this can take a year or 2. In this courthouse, I've seen homicide squads take a year to prepare their reports. So, I guess what you're asking him about whether he's turned this over to you or not, is a very little moment for me. As I said again, I'm expediting these proceedings for the benefit of your client. So the fact that you don't have these reports, I got it. I understand. What's your point?
Thank you, Judge. Other than reports, what else, if anything, detective, did you review?
reports, body cam.
Okay. Did you interview any witnesses?
I interviewed witnesses. I interviewed the defendant's father and numerous witnesses. His school kids that go to school with him.
Okay. Part of the reason you're here today is to establish Derek's maturity level to some degree.
Objection.
Grant.
Judge, why the state has asking him why he's here to establish certain things is about what the state's doing. We just called him. We just subpoenaed him. You know, he's just here in response to a subpoena. I don't see the relevance of what his understanding of the legal issues in this hearing are.
Okay. Let me do it this way. Mr. Rielli, you started your question with, you're assuming you're here because of. I don't know if that's why he's here, but if you want to ask him what he knows about the mental state of your client or physical abilities or the things that you believe are relevant, ask him what you know about A, B, or C. Can we do it that way?
Yes.
Thank you.
Judge, Detective, based on hundreds of interviews that you've conducted, the amount of years that you have in the force, do you believe that you can provide an opinion as to Derek's maturity?
Objection, compound evidence, and calls for expert testimony.
여기서 검사가 이의를 제기하며 말한 복합 증거, compound evidence. 일반적으로 compound라고 합니다. 이건 복합적인 의미가 포함되어 있는 질문으로 정확한 답변을 하기 어려운 경우에 이의 제기하며 붙이는 이유죠. 그래서 이런 경우엔 조금 더 직선적이고 가시적인 질문으로 쪼개어 답변이 간단하고 정확하게 나오도록 바꾸라고 명령합니다. 그렇지 않으면 다른 질문을 하곤 하죠.
Judge, we're asking him to testify as to depth of wounds, like trajectory of wounds. We're asking him.
I was hoping to get that from what the ending said, but I've got it. And I'll tell you what, this issue could come up later when we talk about the voluntariness of the confession. I'll let that question go ahead.
You may answer, sir.
As far as my evaluation, I not only have worked homicide, I've also worked with juveniles in the juvenile unit. Derek, in my opinion, is very smart. He answered the questions directly, and I think that he is a very smart person that understood everything.
Okay. Let's go to a couple pieces of what you assumed he understood.
Used against him. Okay? If there's... Okay. This is the formal language, okay? Now, I want you to follow, actually to read here. Okay? read this little dot right here? Yes.
Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights.
Okay, you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and initial this little dot for me. It means that you understand that. Yeah, it's your initials.
I have initials as your name.
Okay. What's your name? Right.
So you heard when Derek, in response to your question, just initial right here, if you understand, his response was, I don't have initials, I just have a name. Did you hear him answering that?
Yeah, I heard him answer that.
Okay, and that to you is intelligent, answering correctly, and understanding what he's doing?
He's understanding what he's doing because he is.
I'm not asking why, sir.
I'm answering the question.
You ask him a question, he'll be allowed to respond completely.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
He understood what I was telling him because he was complying with the thing. As a matter of you saying that, he doesn't know his initials or anything, I don't see anything. We're talking about him understanding that he understood. So I think he's intelligent, yes.
I didn't say that, sir. He said that. He said, I don't have initials, I just write my name. Moving on to the next one. Ms. Morales, if you can fast forward, please, to 244.
Okay, you understand that? Go ahead.
If you still have
There?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
the right to stop answering at any time or until you talk to a lawyer.
Okay, go ahead and initial right there. Okay, now read this whole paragraph.
I have read this statement of my rights and I understand what my rights are. I am willing to make this statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I'm doing. No promises or threats have been made to me. No pressure or persistent
Coercion, that's that we're forcing you to do something. You understand? Whatever you're doing on your own voluntarily basis, making an educated decision.
So at 244:40, you have to explain to Derek what coercion is, right?
I've had adults, yes, and I've had adults that I've had to explain that word. That's not a common word per se. So yes, I did explain it to him.
Okay. Now, not only did you explain it to him, but you had to help him pronounce it. You couldn't pronounce the word, right?
Coercion is a word, like I say, that I've helped other people with. It's not.
That's not my question. You couldn't pronounce the word, correct?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving on. Ms. Morales, if we can go to 245 at 38, please.
As an attorney, if you do, go ahead and sign right here. An attorney is someone.
So you also had to explain to him what an attorney was.
Yes, we cleared it with lawyer, which he does know.
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that we then told him an attorney was a lawyer, and he understood.
And we is yourself
Myself,
and Detective Gonzalez.
yes.
And there was actually a third police presence in the room, right? A young lady to the far corner, shaking notes.
No, there wasn't another police presence.
Who was standing right here? I confess. Do you remember who was standing? Not you. Not Miss
It's me.
It was the state.
That was me.
Okay. So there was a third person in the room.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can we fast forward, Ms. Morales, to 247, please?
Derek, can you state your full name for the record? Yeah, I read from your full name.
Derek Stephen Rosen.
What's your date of birth?
August 26, 2010.
What's your address?
I have no address.
Okay. What's your telephone number? You don't know either?
No.
Now, at this point, he's telling you he doesn't know his address, right? And he doesn't know his phone number.
Yes.
And it is still your testimony, and I imagine your opinion, that he was and is and intelligent, was answering correctly, and understood what you were doing, what you were asking of him?
When taking the whole interview into context, yes, he was. He understood, he answered questions, and everything.
My question, sir, when he tells you that he doesn't know his address and he doesn't know his phone number, that didn't raise a flag in you, maybe this person, maybe this kid doesn't know what he's doing. You never thought that?
No.
You always maintained that he was intelligent, knew what he was doing, and he was doing so informed, right?
During the whole context of the interview, again, I interpret it as knowing what he was doing and intelligent.
Including this?
No,
Ma'am,
you're
you've already asked
taking piece
about
by
that.
piece.
Excuse me. You've asked about that. Move on to your next area, please.
Yes. My last, actually, I'm going to go back a little bit, Ms. Morales, if you don't mind, to 245, please. Now, you've conducted hundreds of interviews.
Yes.
How many would you say involved, you already told me not a 13-year-old, but juvenile?
Quite a bit.
Would you say that you are versed on the law as far as when someone is confessing an incident to you and what you can and cannot say to them? What would be an accurate statement of the law? What would be an inaccurate statement of the law?
Objection, compound question.
Okay. My
Well,
apologies.
kind of a compound question. Sustained.
Would you say that you're versed on the law? Period.
All right, where are we going now? Is there a specific thing that you would like to point out that he said or did that's relevant to the determination that I'm supposed to make in this case? If you would, go ahead and proffer it to me, ma'am, because it's 5:40 in the afternoon, and I don't want to take more time
We could just
dancing around a cross-examination.
Okay.
Tell me what it is you expect him to say to you now. What area are you going into?
The detective says to Derek, if you want a chance to explain yourself, the only way we would be able to take your statement is if you agree to talk to us without the presence
All right,
of
will
an
you raise
attorney.
that when you move to suppress the statement, ma'am, okay? It's a marginal and absolutely no relevance at all to the determination I'm about to make once I get all the evidence in.
Can I ask him if he knows if that's an accurate fact of law?
Not right now, ma'am.
Okay. All right, I'll move on. Give me a second to gather my thoughts here. Okay, so I want to talk about a little bit of your testimony relating to the still shot from the baby cam. First of all, have you seen is there footage? Is there baby cam footage? Baby cam footage.
Not to my knowledge, only stills.
Okay. Now, have you heard the unredacted 911 call?
I've heard the 911 call.
The unredacted 911 call.
I believe so.
Okay. Does the FBI have the unredacted 911 call?
Objection, relevance.
Judge, apparently the FBI has the either forensic dumping or the phone itself. That was his testimony. I'd like to know what other evidence is not in Hialeah Police Department's custody and control.
What does that have to do with the issues in this hearing?
Well, Judge, she was testifying as to premeditation or evidence that, this is something really planned out. And part of his testimony was that he, Derek, typed or searched X amount of words and searches on his phone. I want to know how he knows that those searches were conducted by Derek.
I guess we'll find that out in discovery now, but it's a little moment to me right now.
Okay.
As I've said to you guys about 20 times now, I want to focus on the conditions of his detention to determine if they violate his constitutional rights. Where the evidence is being forensically examined right now doesn't take me anywhere on that question.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome, ma'am.
In terms of the medical examination, do you know anything about depth of wounds?
The depth the wounds?
Yes, sir.
I was there when they were doing the autopsy, and I got to see when they actually pulled the skin back, and the doctor explained to me that it hit organs and organs and organs.
Do you have any specialized training to know depth of wounds? You yourself, without somebody else telling you?
I'm not a doctor, if that's what you're asking.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Well,
I'm asking if you have any specialized training to know on your own, without another person telling you, the depth of a wound.
Well, visually, you could see if a wound or an injury goes through skin, and if it hits the organ, you can make an estimation. But other than visual.
Okay. Can you also visually identify the force needed to create certain wounds?
It depends if it strikes a bone or not.
And you could tell that visually, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have the expertise to determine what is a defensive or offensive wound?
I have handled many homicides and or stabbings, and I am talking to you from experience that I know what a defensive wound is in a knife attack.
So that's yes? You do have that experience?
Well, it's experience on the job dealing with it many times. So I don't have the medical explanation, but I can tell you what's consistent with a defense wound.
Okay. Is one of the witnesses that you interviewed Mr. Frank Ramos?
Frank Ramos, I interviewed him or dealt with him before. Initially, I don't think I interviewed him initially. I interviewed the defendant's father.
Now, have you met Mr. Ramos prior to this incident?
No.
Okay. And since the incident, how often do you speak?
Objection to relevance.
Judge, the detective testified that he received the still shot from Ramos. The detective also, if we recall, on the 22nd of November, took his personal cell phone to Mr. Ramos's home for a Zoom meeting. I think everybody remembers that, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember
I think
that?
he appeared on a cell phone.
His cell phone, correct.
For us,
Okay.
at your Honor's request,
Right.
he drove over there to do it.
When I asked the detective to drive over and find him so we could take testimony from him as to whether he agreed to you entering his apartment for inspection.
Okay.
Okay. And where are we going with this?
Have you relayed any of the findings to Mr. Ramos?
I have an
Wait a
objection
minute.
pending.
Now we're on a new question.
Right.
Yes.
All right, let me hear your question then.
Yes, Judge. I don't want to talk about the cell phone anymore. He took his cell phone. Your Honor asked. He said yes. The evidence, the investigation, the course of the investigation. Have you revealed details to Mr. Ramos about it?
Absolutely not.
So you never told Mr. Ramos that
Objection
there
to
were 46
relevance.
stab wounds?
I'm sorry. What would be the relevance of that? I'll allow you to respond to her objection.
I'd like to know, Your Honor, any type of bias or any type of why would Mr. Ramos know that there were X amount of stab
No,
wounds?
we don't have anything in this record which would indicate that Mr. Ramos knows there were X amount of stab wounds. Move on to your next question now.
Do you know if Mr. Ramos would know what the searches on the phone?
Objection to relevance. I mean, for this hearing, all of this is irrelevant.
I don't sustain. Next question, please.
When you were interviewing Derek, did you have your gun?
Objection to relevance.
Okay, ma'am, a lot of these things that you're raising here, Mr. Lewis, are things that I would hear ordinarily if you were arguing that his confession or his statements were not voluntary or constitutionally taken, but I'm really much more interested in focusing on the circumstances of his detention. So I'm thinking this goes a bit far afield. I wanted to give you guys a full opportunity to put as much evidence as you thought was relevant into the record. This is not. It's a standard.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you very much. Any redirect?
Yes,
That's not a
I'll be
request
brief.
that you redirect. It's just a...
I'll be very brief, Judge. I know it's late. Trying to be as succinct as possible. Do 13-year-olds have driver's licenses with their addresses on them?
No.
Was the phone that you impounded belonging to Mr. Rosa a smartphone?
I believe it was, yes.
Are numbers saved in that?
Yes.
In your experience with adults, are there often times when somebody doesn't know a phone number because they saved them? They don't know it by heart?
Yes.
At any point when you were speaking with Mr. Rosa and he didn't understand something, did you explain it?
Yes.
And did he seem to you to understand what you explained?
Yes.
Just one second, Judge. No further questions.
Thank you very much, Detective.
Judge, can I ask one question? Regarding that explanation, I have one question.
I'm sorry, ma'am. What's your question?
My question is, did you explain anything to Derek outside of what we viewed here, outside of this interview?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Detective.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're going to close down today.
변호사가 반대 신문을 하는 과정에서 편집을 꽤 많이 했습니다. 이 청문회에서 다루고 있는 주제에서 벗어나는 질문을 계속해서 던졌기 때문이었죠. 그 결과 판사는 인내심의 한계에 도달했고 결국 조금 더 많은 증거가 모인 뒤에 다시 열기로 했습니다. 확실하게 언제가 될지는 모르겠지만 빠르면 2월이나 3월 중이 될 것 같다는 생각이 듭니다. 현재 진행 중인 많은 살인사건들 중 하나지만 피고가 고작 13살이며 피해자는 친엄마라는 특수한 상황이라서 많은 사람들은 민감하게 받아들이고 있습니다. 아직 어린애가 무엇을 알겠냐며 무죄로 석방하라는 사람들부터 저런 녀석은 사형을 때려야 한다는 사람까지 말이죠. 하지만 가장 중요한 건 아직 데릭 로사가 자신의 어머니를 죽인 이유를 밝히지 않았다는 겁니다. 언젠가 열릴 재판에서 다 밝혀질 수도 아닐 수도 있지만 살해 의도를 알 수만 있다면 사람들의 의견은 거의 하나로 모일 것 같습니다. 먼저 현재 알 수 있는 단서들로 봤을 때 학업 스트레스로 인한 살인이 아닐까 생각이 드는군요. 그냥 제가 갖고 있는 추론을 말해보고자 합니다. 일단 데릭 로사는 A나 B의 성적을 받는 우등생이었지만 현실 친구가 없이 온라인 게임 친구만 있는 환경에서 지내고 있었습니다. 쉽게 말하자면 공부는 열심히 하지만 현실 생활에선 친구도 없이 외롭게 지내고 있고 집에 오면 온라인 게임을 하며 온라인 친구들을 만나 외로움을 해소했다고 예상해 볼 수 있겠죠. 그리고 부모님은 이혼한 상태이며 어머니는 다른 남자와 결혼하여 지내고 있었습니다. 이후 엄마와 그 계부 사이에서 생긴 여자아기가 태어나면서 모든 관심은 동생에게 쏠렸을 겁니다. 그런 과정에서 게임을 그만하고 공부나 좀 하라며 잔소리도 했을 테고 조금 있으면 고등학교로 진학할 테니까 말이죠. 하지만 게임 중독이 아닌 외로움을 해소하기 위해 게임을 한 것을 이해해주지 못하는 엄마가 원망스러워지기 시작했을 겁니다. 그래서 구글에서 사람을 죽일 수 있는 여러 방법에 대해 검색을 하면서 준비를 시작하죠. 그렇게 결국 엄마를 죽인 뒤에 온라인 친구 중 가장 친한 친구에게 자신의 모습을 찍은 사진과 죽은 엄마를 찍은 사진을 보냅니다. 이것도 외로움을 해소하고 유일하게 심적으로 의지하는 친구였기 때문에 보인 행동이겠죠. 진실은 데릭 로사가 말하기 전까지 알 수가 없겠지만 그냥 제가 생각하기엔 이런 것 같습니다. 과거에도 부모님을 잔인하게 살해한 미성년자들의 케이스를 보면 학업 스트레스로 살해하는 경우가 몇 번 있었으니까요. 그럼 이 사건은 계속 관심을 갖고 지켜보며 업데이트하겠습니다. 꽤 흥미로운 사건이라 생각하신다면 좋아요와 구독을 눌러주시면 좋겠네요. 저는 쇼킹TV 톰슨이었습니다. 시청 감사합니다.
George K. 5 George K. 496 Broadway, McHill, Williamsville.